Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. If you're new here, my name is Christina. If you're not new here, hi, welcome back. It's great to see you. This is a general collective reading. There are no signs attached to it, so only take it if it resonates with you within the first couple of minutes. Otherwise, just go find a different video to watch. So I was I was planning on doing a pick a card reading today. I filmed group 1. And then it just felt like that was it in terms of like what messages wanted to come through. So there's only one message today. I'm putting it as a general collective reading rather than a pick a card group 1, 2, 3, just because of how the energy feels. My energy personally has also been kind of up and down the last couple of weeks. I'm blaming the eclipses on that just because I'm a Libra sun and Aries moon. The lunar eclipse was in Libra. The upcoming solar eclipse is in Aries. So that's going to be like the next couple of weeks, I think for me personally, are going to be quite interesting. So I'm just going to start off the reading by saying that I'm not sure exactly how much I'll be doing readings, especially this weekend. I have family visiting, so I'm going to be spending time with them. I probably won't have time to do readings this week, or this weekend, I should say, but we'll see how that changes. So just a disclaimer, and we'll get into the reading. There was one crystal that wanted to come through. It's this rhodonite elephant, and I'll get into it more in just a second. This elephant is so interesting. I've had this elephant since I was a child. I don't know how old, but there was this time in my life when I was just like obsessed with elephants. And this one is the one that has lasted over all the years. All the other ones sort of like either broke or I got rid of them or whatever, but this one is the one that has remained over all these years. So general theme for your reading, it feels kind of like, especially with the crystal being rhodonite, this is a crystal that's very good for healing emotional wounds, especially ones that are from like a very long time ago. So maybe somebody's doing some sort of like emotional healing, perhaps from like a really, really long time ago. It doesn't have to be that, but that's just sort of what's coming through with this crystal. So take that if it resonates. If not, just apply to your life however you see fit. And also because, we're approaching Mercury retrograde. And usually if you've been on the channel for a while, if you've watched a couple of my videos, I always talk about Mercury retrograde as being sort of like a period of time where like past energies come back in order for us to resolve them or to get a new perspective on them or to like close out some aspect of the past. So but for today, it's feeling kind of like it's like a preview into that of Mercury retrograde because we're sort of in the beginning period of it, but it kind of feels like you're getting a preview or that this energy is already present, because sometimes during Mercury retrograde, my readings want to be read from right to left instead of from left to right, which is so strange. That's what's happening for you today. So that's what we're going to start with. That's the overall context. You have here the butterfly at the bottom of this deck, which talks about like a change for the better, or just like a very significant transformation. I sometimes see this as well as being sort of like a peaceful, it doesn't have to be, well, it could be peaceful. It's kind of feeling like a peaceful acceptance of something. And with the sea serpent underneath that, and the frog, all of this very healing energy. The frog is a very healing energy to me in this deck. And with the sea serpent, it talks about well, today it's coming through as being like completing a cycle, especially in terms of like what it is that you desire, or could be like expressing a true desire in some way, which is really interesting. There's all of this sort of like cool, calming, soothing energy that's coming through your reading today. So anyways, so we'll get into the reading. Again, it's going to be read backwards because, well, I don't even want to use, it's not backwards. It's just being read from a different perspective is just how it's coming through. So the first couple of cards to come out, you have here Portal for the Forest and the Cross, and that is coming out with the bat. So the bat talks about closing of a chapter, a significant transformation. It does feel kind of like because with the full moon, there's a full moon behind it, right? So it could be that like the full moons to me talk about releasing energies that are no longer serving. So it's kind of like leaving something in the past. That's sort of what's coming through here, like leaving some sort of burden, or leaving something in the past is just how it's coming through. This cross card, which is really interesting, because this to me is kind of feeling like and now it's kind of because we're also approaching Easter as well, so maybe that might be sort of like an interesting sort of like a rebirth energy, or like a resurrection of some sort, whatever that means to you. That's interesting. Okay, but anyways, the cross talks, so it could be some sort of like, I've been just seeing this energy of like ascension in some way, whatever that means to you. So take it how it resonates. I know that means different things to different people. So some sort of perhaps like spiritual ascension, or just like leaving something perhaps really difficult or burdensome in the past and moving forward from that. Is basically what these cards are showing me. There's an energy here with so this was the last card to come out, but I am reading it the opposite way. So we're starting off here with Temperance. This card has been talking to me about like being really comfortable with vulnerability. That's what this card has been being represented by, but it's also coming through as being sort of like a fresh start. Is basically what that's feeling like. A fresh start, a new beginning, which is interesting. I've never seen that with the Temperance card before, the Temperance energy. But I'm also kind of getting like an Ace of Cups energy with this as well. Okay, and then here's where I feel like there's like an interesting dynamic here with the Five of Inspiration and the Devil card. So it feels like this is whatever is being left behind, right? Or that is like closing out in some way, or that there's like a final ending to that, just because the next card coming out here is the Magician. So just if you look at the numbers, you have Magician is 1. This Five of Inspiration is a 5, and then the Devil is 1, 5, right? So it's kind of coming through as being like something was bound is how it's coming through here. Like something was because especially with the Devil, right, comes in with like the chains, like that kind of energy where something was bound or tied to something, or like however that applies to you can apply in so many different ways. Like perhaps there was some sort of like like a karmic contract that had to be played out in some way or something like that. But anyways, it's coming out with the Five of Inspirations because this card talks to me about like having your energy split. Like, so it could be, or that like separated, or especially with the Forest, it could be something where it's like somebody was having difficulty making a decision perhaps, or like delaying a decision. It could be because there was this energy of like a splitting is kind of how it's coming through, or like being conflicted by something, or like having contracts to fulfill in whatever way. Especially with Mercury retrograde, because Mercury is the planet that rules contracts, right? So whether or not that's written or just spoken or energy or whatever, it's kind of coming through as being like perhaps there were like multiple quote unquote contracts, or like paths or decisions perhaps that needed to be made but that were perhaps being avoided, or but it's kind of like I feel like there is sort of a choice being made now, or with the bat it kind of feels like making a decision, like making a definitive decision to move forward or to move past something is how that's coming through. And then with the Magician card, it's kind of like I'm seeing this, like I sometimes see this Devil card as being sort of like a closed off energy, right? Like something is like closed off or separated or locked up, or whatever descriptive word you want to use there to describe that energy. But it's kind of like what's coming out next is the Magician, which is like, to me sometimes comes through as being like a manifestational energy coming into the physical, like being able to access really powerful energies to create what you want. So it could be that there was some sort of like I don't want to necessarily say it was a delay, but it was like perhaps like something that was binding the energy or tying up the energy in a way that prevented something from moving forward is kind of how it's coming through. So this I'm seeing as being like freeing that energy up in whatever way that is, like unlocking it so that it can start flowing again. And then you have here the Star and the Sun, which is just incredible to me. Which is so interesting, the star and the sun, because the star talks about like having a vision, and the sun talks about just like peace and clarity and happiness. It's coming through as inspiration today, actually. Perhaps like receiving a lot of inspiration, but from this energy of like the sun and the star. There's a book called The Sun is Also a Star, which I don't know if that has any particular relevance to someone. You can go look up the summary. The Sun is Also a Star, which kind of talks about like two people who meet for a day, but then they get separated, but then they meet up later on. It's kind of coming through as being sort of like maybe like a return of some sort of inspiration or positive energy in whatever way that is, especially with the Five of Inspiration. This can talk about sort of like being unsure about what it is that you want, or feeling like split or confused even, or just like not being able to make a decision. But with these 3 cards, like, you have 3 major arcana plus the devil and temperance, so total 5 in just this section, which is just talking about like a very significant spiritual energy. So this energy could talk about ascension, if you want to use that word, or just like moving to the next level, whatever that means to you, however this applies in your life. But there's an interesting thing here with the 2 of inspiration coming out next. Again, the way that I pulled the cards is not the way that the cards are wanting to be read. So the way that it looks on the table is that you have it looking like this, where the 2 of inspiration is looking to these energies. So it could be something where you may even be experiencing something where you're looking back at a past event or a past moment in time where you made this decision to leave something behind or to close something off, but now you're seeing the results of it. So it could be something like that, where it's like, in the past, you made a decision to leave this energy behind, or like to move on from it in some way. And it feels like maybe there are like the first signs of it are coming through. Like, this kind of actually is coming through as being like a past energy, but that it is like finally catching up is kind of how it's feeling to me. The last couple of days have been so interesting in like how I've been like feeling certain energies beforehand, like just feeling something happening or whatever, like thinking something, receiving something, and then it takes a while for it to catch up in the physical. So that's kind of how it's coming through here, where it's like maybe there's been a time where something has taken a while to catch up in the physical, in whatever that means. Like, just like the physical environment just moves slower. Which is just kind of like, that's all in divine timing as well. Anyways, so it's coming through as being sort of like, something from the past might, like a positive energy, a manifestation, happiness, vision, clarity, inspiration, all of that energy feels like it's catching up is how it's coming through. Like even the sunlight, right? Light is the fastest moving thing in our universe as we know it, right? Light is the fastest moving thing. But even from like how long it takes for the sunlight to reach Earth, it still takes 8 minutes. It still takes time, even though it's the fastest moving thing. So it's kind of coming through like that. That's really interesting. Okay, anyways. What we have out next, the next grouping of cards, we have here the portal for the unraveling and the god of light, which is so interesting because I'm seeing this unraveling card, first of all, as being some sort of like, I'm seeing it as being tied to the cross energy. But it feels like whatever it was that was, being bound, right? Like, so it could be something like some sort of like her arms being bound together, like not being, or like some sort of, just being extra conscious of my wording here. I feel like there was some sort of energy that was tied up in some way. I don't know what way or how that relates to you, but it feels like there was a necessary time for that energy to be unraveled so that it could be used again. So a metaphor to help describe the sort of unraveling energy and why it's a positive thing is, if you've been watching a couple of my videos recently, I've been learning how to knit and crochet, which requires yarn, of course. And so how it was coming through, like whatever this devil energy is kind of like, perhaps there was something where it's like some sort of project maybe that was not completed is how it's coming through. Like for whatever reason, something was not completed, or there was like it was left unfinished is kind of how it's coming through for whatever reason. But it's kind of like there was no movement on that, or that, like, you know, those projects where it's just like, anyways, doesn't matter. I feel like maybe there was a choice here to sort of like, no longer pursue that option is kind of how it's coming through for whatever reason. This is sort of coming through as being a past decision of like, I'm not going to pursue that option or whatever. And so it's like, there's like, for example, in this metaphor, yarn that has been sort of like tied up in that project. And so it's kind of what I'm seeing in this unraveling is kind of like making the decision to like actually unravel that project because it was left unfinished. So it does, it is sort of like, with the bat energy, kind of like difficult, because it's like there was a lot of time or energy put into that, but it's like the project was going to be left unfinished anyways. So the best use of those resources are actually to unravel that whatever investment or whatever that is and put it into something new. That's how I'm seeing this. Because I feel like there's something here about like, there's a whole bunch, like, because imagine if you have something like a project or something that's like really unsatisfying for whatever reason. Like it's like every time you think about it, it's kind of like it splits your energy because it either, for whatever reason, it was dissatisfying. So it's like once you make the decision to finally unravel all of that and like start over, start fresh, it's like you're getting new ideas. You're like, I can do all of this like new, I can tackle new projects. I can put all of that like quote unquote unused yarn to new projects, new inspiration, that kind of thing. That's sort of how it's coming through to me. This is the metaphor that's coming through. And so it's kind of like repurposing some sort of energy that had been tied up in something else that perhaps is like not going anywhere, or that was for whatever reason causing this sort of splitting of your energy. Okay, and then you have here the God of Light, which is the King of Wands in this deck, and the Hummingbird. The way that the Hummingbird is coming out is so interesting, because the very first card that I pulled, but this is the last card in the spread, it looks like this, the way that it was sitting on my table, where the Awakening card is like shining the spotlight on the Hummingbird. And the Hummingbird today is coming through as being sort of like knowing where all the nectar is, like knowing where to find sustenance, knowing where to find nourishment, knowing where to find sweetness. It also talks to me about inspiration and creativity as well. So it's kind of like there's, in doing this, like in making a decision to unravel or to stop some past energy from continuing on to a certain point, it actually frees up more resources is kind of how it's coming through. And there's more clarity coming in about like how to move now, or where to go, or what to do next, or that kind of thing. There's so much more inspiration and light that's coming into a situation, especially with the other cards sort of like coming through here. You have the Four of Swords and the Knight of Swords. But so the Four of Swords talks to me about like peacefully accepting whatever it is that, whatever it is, usually after some sort of difficult event. This to me talks about like finding peace about something, or integrating whatever difficulty was experienced and sort of learning from that. The Knight of Inspiration talks about sort of like an arrival of something. Could be an epiphany, could be news, could be some good news, it could be anything of that sort, but it kind of feels like there's like something new opening up, or like a spotlight that is being shone on some sort of like hummingbird energy, which is a result of, right? Like, so you could be seeing this is coming through as being sort of like a positive outcome of Mercury retrograde, where a past action, something from the past that you did to close out a certain chapter or certain patterns or whatever, some situation that perhaps felt constricting or binding to you in some way, a past decision to leave that behind is having like a positive outcome or positive effects that perhaps just took a bit of time to catch up to that action, if that makes sense. So that's what I'm seeing here. You also have here the Muse of Materials, which is the king of materials in this deck. But this talks to me about like moving into some sort of new experience in a very physical way. Like, so it's going to have consequences in sort of like the physical reality. It feels kind of like though it perhaps took a while for the positive benefits to catch up to you, is how that's coming through here. But it is catching up. That's what the energy is coming through. Like, the physical sometimes just takes a bit more time. So I'm gonna leave that there. If this resonated with you, please like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. It helps so much. Thank you for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.